really hard to call it anything but that. Cooldown reduction is so much the best stat on, I believe, all characters except for some rogue builds. Some rogue builds, actually, it is the best stat, but for more attack-based, fast attack speed-based rogue builds, it's not quite as important. For everything else in the game, it's the #1 stat, at least by a factor of 2. You would rather have the cooldown reduction stat rather than any 2 other stats on any piece of gear. So that is kind of ridiculous. I think they should consider putting cooldown reduction on the Paragon tree and not having it on gear at all, so you can spec into it. And the Paragon tree has a lot of customizability left. There's a whole lot of 5 dexterity.
People are always just going to get max CDR. Then when you put it, is it going to get it?
Yeah.
I mean, even a D3
But
is an example.
If you put it on the Paragon tree,
you
there's
stack
more
CDR
strategy
till
to
you have
it.
100% time of whatever OP ability you've got.
He's
And
100%
that's your
right.
break point.
But there's just more strategy
build.
to it if it's on the tree.
Perma Wrath, Perma Epiphany, Perma whatever. But for this game, it's the same
Because
shit.
on gear, it just
Perma
trumps
Shout,
all
Perma
the other
fucking,
stats completely.
You know, Dire Wolf, Perma Beer, whatever it is. It's always the best stat. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, he's saying it's so good that it's just been the Paragon, so you always take it there instead of always taking it on your gear.
Paragon has other powerful stuff.
I don't
though.
understand. I'm trying to understand why it's better there. Why is it better on the Paragon board?
Kripp reacts.
You get more affixes because it's just mandatory regardless. You're gonna. I mean, yeah, I don't know much of this on gear. So then he's saying he wants more affixes on items, basically.
I just want affixes to be like you make decisions.
Maybe just give necklaces an extra affix as well, perhaps.
Right now, cooldown reduction. It's like if the item can roll cooldown reduction, you get it, or the item
I'm genuinely
sucks.
asking why. I'm genuinely asking why.
But if you put it on like every Paragon board in little pieces, you have to make meaningful decisions. The other aspect has to do with how you actually do damage in the game. I made a video talking about the damage buckets, and they were largely theorized at that point. Now that the game has come out, the damage buckets are any form of increased damage, vulnerable damage, and critting. So this basically means that if your character doesn't have a reliable source of vulnerable damage, it is a bad character. If your character doesn't scale crit, it is probably, except for like 2 builds, a bad character. This is insanely simplistic and not interesting to me. There's a lot of aspects to Diablo 4 that are surprisingly well balanced. In fact, the sorcerer class as a whole is surprisingly well balanced. If you choose the route of fire, lightning, or ice, all 3 builds actually do pretty similar damage using varying mechanics, in fact. So some aspects of the game are unbelievably well tuned, while others are just simplistic and have bare bone requirements like the overall damaging system of the character. In terms of damage, I'm also finding that range damage is just crazy. When I've done the higher level Nightmare Sigils, I have they open a door and instantly one-shot off screen from like a corpse bow. Okay, you can't do much to do that. You're literally dying in one hit from monsters you can't see. In other cases,
That's a skill issue.
range damage is really crazy, and you can't really mitigate it by resists. Resistances don't scale. You get like 50 cold resist, your cold damage reduction goes up by 2%. Resistances are such a joke, and I think when they tackle that, and not if, when, because that system is laughably bad, this might alleviate a little bit. The other aspect of this is boss damage is a joke. The bosses are kind of just damage sponges. When I say that like there's white mobs, archers in the maps that hit you and almost one-shot you, yeah, there's no boss that like really one-shots you. The scaling mechanics of bosses is hilarious. Bosses are often the least dangerous mobs in the entire dungeon. I don't know how that ended up that way. Speaking of dungeons, you're gonna have to do a lot of them. Originally, they stated that the average player will take about 150 hours to hit level 100. I don't know how they came to this figure because I guess I just suck at the game. I mean, maybe I'll hit it under 150, but that is really generous. leveling is incredibly slow after level 50, and it is a system where the levels come so slowly that it does feel incredibly grindy. It is a super grindy game. Now, you may have seen players in like group play level way faster. We had people getting max level in the first few days. Like, Kripp, what are you talking about? So these players...
Exploding pieces of shit, trash! Trash! Trash!
And like one of them even went over their vlog on this, like Zizaran, for example, if you want to check out his vlog on it. So basically they had a full group doing split farms. So they do a dungeon that has many different avenues when the dungeon starts, and each player does one separate part of the dungeon, and they get experience has an infinite range in Diablo 4. So they're literally getting 3 to 4 times the experience, but when they leave the dungeon, they can just reform the group, which resets it rather than having to wait a minute. And just constantly doing a dungeon gives you insane experience compared to just walking around the world and doing, well, a lot of nothing in between. So they also skipped doing like nightmare sigils, nightmare dungeons. They didn't have leveled glyphs. They basically had really crappy characters. They could barely even play the game, but they leveled up really quickly. So I want to mention that because some people will think it's like, hey, you can get to max level in like 3 days. No, you can't. Okay, the circumstances for doing that were so extreme. They used methods that have been nerfed. I don't want to say exploit. You know, I don't think anything they did was exploitive. They operated within the game mechanics, but they also used leveling strategies and certain dungeons that have been nerfed immediately after they used them. So if they had to do it all over again, I don't even think they could do it as fast as they did, even with the experience they gained in the meantime. That's just how it works. Overall, it will take a player hundreds of hours to get to level 100, which makes the actual launch of Season 1 really questionable. Keep in mind, they said that Season 1 is coming like mid-July. We're already a week into the game right now, and there's a lot of people that are barely over level 50. They're going to drop the Season 1, and a lot of people are going to have characters that are like level 70 or 80, and they haven't even gotten like all the Lilith shrines or like the renowned things, and these people are going to be thinking to themselves like, wait, I don't want to have to do all of this all over again. It doesn't make sense to me. I think they either like last minute nerfed experience rates or something.
Not everyone needs to hit 100. The fuck is this? I think that's the whole point about level cap. It should take like 2 weeks of blasting to hit. It should take 2 weeks of blasting to hit, right?
I mean, maybe 3 for Quin.
The point of a level cap is to stop these fuckers, these bot fucks, fucking botting fucks. I'm sorry, chat. I was getting PTSD. I'm sorry. I'm getting PTSD from Diablo 3. It's to stop these botting fuckers. Okay, these fucking cunts. I'm sorry, chat. I'm thinking about bots and it's getting me riled up. I'm getting riled up at these bots.
Cooldown reduction being on.
Shut the fuck up. It's basically you want to, because when you're at max level, it's gonna be kind of shit, right? Because you're like, oh, max level now. It's kind of like a disincentivization to play the game. It should take ages to hit cap. The point is, you put a cap that like most people won't even hit, but it's a hard cap for these fucking bozo, cheater, scummy, botting cunts. Look, I'm from EU and I'm using cheats and hacks and now I'm got way more main stat than you. Ooh, look. Those
is that how EU people talk? That's crazy.
Okay, and then everyone can just enjoy the game because, you know, if you want to get to max level and you want to be big dick, you can. You can blast for 2 weeks and you can get to max level. But the whole point is, once you hit max level, I feel like it's almost like a disincentivization. It's almost like you don't want to play the game. You know? Ignore bots.
Yeah.
No, you can't ignore bots. You can't ignore bots.
But like the best way to level is to do the same dungeons again and again.
I think most people shouldn't even hit 100. For real. I think the last, like, maybe you could just slow it down.
So many people are going to get stuck in the renown loop and Lilith altars and have like a level 70 character that's barely in Paragons. They haven't really played the game at all. The last 10 levels just takes a lot longer.
And if you want to blast to get that, you can. that like saying like we should make it so everyone can get to level 100 in like 2 days, that'd be complete dog shit. Dog shit. Fuck that. But you do need a cap, because you don't have a cap. Guess what, dude? Fucking cheaters, account sharers. Don't even make me bring up names. I mean, don't even. Woody Joe. Ha. Okay, Terminator. All these fucking EU cunts. Okay, these botters ruining the fucking game and making it so shit because you have to try and keep up with some people who don't even sleep. You're out here fucking playing till your eyes are bleeding. They're asleep in their fucking bed while the characters are farming.
Like Diablo 3 or something?
And then there's no cap. So you have to like destroy yourself trying to keep up. Okay? It's fucked. I fucking hate. So that's why you need a cap. But I mean, bro, you still made the cap quite high. And I don't think you should make a cap that people should hit. You should make a cap. You should make the first 9 levels, a few days, whatever. The last 10 levels should take fucking ages, in my opinion. It should take like 2 weeks, bro. Straight up.
Because the launch of Season 1 is even more bizarre in its timing, given how grindy, insanely grindy the game is. And with that said, I have been playing Solo Self-Found and really enjoying it, so it is a grindy game, but I also enjoy playing Ruthless in Path of Exile. So it does work for some people. It is not necessarily a disadvantage, but Diablo has always excelled from mass appeal more so than niche communities. Again, be mindful of that. The other part I want to talk about is the extremely poor quality of life for inventory management and stash tabs. It is really insane here. Like, the maximum stash tabs you can have is 4, which I do have. I have an entire stash tab for Nightmare Sigils. Yes, you can, like, disenchant them and stuff, but you can't, like, destroy one and make another one. It's like crafting cards in Hearthstone. You have to delete, like, 10 of them to make one. So you can't really do that. You have to run them, and the most effective way to run them is to do the same. Like, I have 2 Zeniths here, so you want to get, like, 3, 4, 5 Zeniths, walk to the dungeon, and then just chain them. So you actually need a lot of space in your inventory. Now, it has a sorting function, but the sorting function only works one way, and I actually don't know what way that is, because, like, I don't know. Cool. Let's see here. So there's a Zenith here, and there's the Zenith here, and was it 2 Zeniths?
Like everywhere.
Yeah, Zenith there, Zenith there, Zenith there. And there's no search. I can't type anything in. The fact that it takes up one of my maximum 4 stash tabs is mind-blowingly bad. And I have to literally hover over every single one.
Who the fuck at Blizzard fucking playtested at all leveling up in the end game and thought 4 stash tabs was okay? Like, seriously, even as your first character is not enough. Even if you say you're only playing 1 character, imagine if you're playing multiple characters, bro, and it's fucking 1.5 months into the season.
Mule, boys.
Are you fucking kidding me, cunt?
Instead of running across the world for every single sigil that I do, I have to do this. Also, for consumables, they take up the same space as the elixirs. That's another half of my stash tabs, and I've actually stopped picking up the lower tier elixirs. If you want to, like, stash some legendary powers, you have to mouse over every single one to find the one that you stashed for later. The actual quality of life of moving items in and out and managing this system is so hilariously bad. But at the same time, it is painful. It is horrible to go through it. I also want to mention, since we're looking at them, while the Nightmare Sigil system itself is quite interesting, like once you're in the dungeon, it's pretty cool. Managing them is horrible. Having to run to each one is horrible. If you click on a Nightmare Sigil and then instantly press your map key, it actually does go to where the dungeon is, but you have to learn to time it. Some people probably don't even know that. But the Nightmare Sigil, it goes away if you log out. So if you do if you trigger a Nightmare Sigil, and you log out or disconnect or crash, or maybe they have a maintenance patch or you lag out, your sigil is completely gone. For most low-level sigils, this won't really matter very much, but it does actually take quite a commitment to scale up into the higher-level Nightmare Sigils. So losing one of those because you disconnected or lagged or anything like that is crazy. And the same applies to elixirs. If you log out and back in, it doesn't matter how much time your elixir had on it, it goes away. So these mechanics are just, like, really bizarre to me. One other part that I really don't like about the game is the gear categories. Most ARPGs have a type of gear where you have a category kind of like a cloth armor, so it might have a lower strength requirement to equip, but the cloth armor will have a lower armor value. Basically, if you want to be a beefy plate-wearing juggernaut, well, you can do that, but you're going to need a lot of strength. You're going to need other requirements. In Diablo 4, the way it works is every single slot has an armor value that scales with its item power. And if it is a full...
Because it's not armor, it's defense. It's defense. It's not armor, it's defense. They just relabeled. They literally, people cried about defense, and they were like, all right, we'll fix it, boys. Change it from, they just changed the name. All right, we're good.
I didn't know they changed that. Breast-plated armor, or it is a nightgown, it will still have the exact armor value. It'll be equivalent. It'll look completely different. It'll obviously shouldn't provide the same armor value. You know, slippers versus plate greaves. Nope. It's just based on the item power of the item. That's the only thing that matters. And no stat requirements. It feels really weird. I like the RPG fantasy.
It feels like a mobile game I used to play. It feels like a mobile game. It's like it's like attack and defense mobile game they used to play. Just fucking, to be fair, it was actually a pretty lit mobile game. Shit, got ruined by pay to win though. Trash now. Fucking dog shit.
What game is it? Of using gear that kind of makes sense, has a tie-in to reality. Diablo 4's item system is completely detached from reality. I don't know if they'll fix that, but I think it would be nice if they did, because a lot of the aspects of Diablo 4 are quite successfully immersive. And finally, one of the biggest one for some of us, it is the level...
Vulnerable! What's he gonna say? You gonna say vulnerable?
What are you talking about vulnerable?
It's the visual clutter, right? He's gotta complain about the visual clutter, right?
I mean, there's a lot of smaller things. I have to keep the video. We talked about the level scaling in the initial review of Diablo 4, and it was one where in the first few beta weekends we leveled to like 25, and we noticed that after a certain few levels, our character would just get weaker and weaker. You start off the character without gear and without skills, your character sucks. You level it to 2, you get your first skill. Your character is so much more powerful now because you're actually using a skill. You level it to level 3, you unlock a core skill. Hey, your character is even more powerful now. Give it a couple more levels and your character actually has gear in most of its slots. And it's basically downhill from there. A level 6 sorcerer can one-shot the giant bears in dry hills with chain lightning. You will never be able to do that again. You might be able to do that in like...
playing a fucking good class you can. Okay. Jesus Christ. Fuck.
Level 90 plus, when you're chain lightning, lucky procs, like 2 other skills, and you're using cooldowns because...
We're gonna get our class as fucking sorcerer, mate.
Your cooldowns now have like 3-second cooldowns.
Guaranteed overpower and is...
will never die from a single chain lightning again. So this is like crazy to me. And to give you guys another example, some streamers who went in and just grinded level 100, their characters were so weak because they didn't do the glyphs. They had to go back and be carried by low-level characters because low-level characters were stronger versus the content. And if they party up, the low-level characters did more effective contribution to the...
I carry those exporting motherfuckers. Jesus Christ.
...party than the high-level characters.
Fucking simp-ass bitches.
It's really hard to wrap your mind around this. The truth of the level scaling mechanics is that even though most of us didn't like it, most of us thought it was an awful mechanic in the beta, now that we have experienced the rest of the game, I will say that it is in fact worse than we expected. The level scaling system continues to be extremely punishing up until when you start getting lots of Paragon points and are dealing with leveled up glyphs, which again is level 80s to 90s. The current fairly linear leveling curve means that that won't happen to you until over 100 hours into the game. If you want to play the game for over 100 hours, seeing your character get weaker every single time it levels, it will in fact after that start to change course ever so slightly. So yeah, there are other mechanics at play. 95 is the maximum open world and dungeon scaling. So if you level from 95 to 96, the monsters will not level up with you. You will, in fact, be stronger than them. There are also some exceptions to the level scaling system. The only one that really works, that I feel is actually pretty fair system, is the Nightmare Sigil system, which doesn't have level scaling.
Yeah, because
that's the fairest part of the game. If you want to...
I was gonna say, I stopped engaging with level scaling. You know? I've been exclusively doing Nightmare Dungeons.
Deal with a higher level dungeon, you make a...
Well, I've been doing Hellside, I guess, but Helltime mobs are just easy as fuck, so... Wait till the... You know?
Stronger character. And it doesn't matter what your level is. Like it's just a par difficulty. That's what I want. I want certain content to have a certain difficulty. Yes, the game has to naturally be harder as you level up because you want to increase the difficulty of the challenges, but the best way to do this is to increase the difficulty of the challenges just absolutely, regardless of your character, and have multiple challenges of varying difficulties. And then your job in an ARPG is to make a character strong enough to tackle the different levels of challenge, like the Nightmare Sigil system, but that has other problems. The overall level scaling in Diablo 4 feels to me like it is a really bad system, and then it has a whole bunch of band-aids to make it somewhat playable in the endgame. If we had a level scaling system like A to B, 1 to 100, it would actually work a little bit better for me, but the way that I see it is, it's not a very good system, and there are major cracks in how it can possibly like work and keep the game together, and we all...
For real, you just remove level scaling from everything but World Tier 1, and you let the fucking couch co-op guys play on fucking World Tier 1 with level scaling. Okay, and then guess what? All the rest is static. Boom. Easy.
Already see some band-aids all over the place.
Straight up. And the final difficulty, World Tier 4, every single fucking monster is like whatever, level 80. There's the whole world, level 80. That's it. You go there, you get butt fucked initially. Completely fucked. But they stay the same. You ramp, you pop off, that's T16.
When you first get to World Tier 4 and just get a few ancient items, or ancestral, you're good to go. Game difficulty is like super easy for a little bit. Already starting to crack, and the game has been out for a week. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I got. And again, I'd like to remind you guys that I'm still streaming. I'm still very much enjoying Diablo 4. But it's important to talk about the issues.
Kripp.
Honestly, especially because that
is video, guys.
Thank you for watching another Kripp video, and we'll see you next time.
He's coping hard, bro. He's coping hard.
Isn't Quin playing the game still too?
Video guys, alright, this game. Fuck off, bro. What the fuck is this, man?